Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Criminal Justice Corner. I am your host, Dr. Jennifer Matthews, and today I have with me a very special guest who just so happens to be my father, Gino Matthews. We are going to be talking about a very hot topic today, Scott Scheffler, who just so happened to be arrested recently. So I wanted to bring on my father because he is an avid sports fan. He just so happens to be former law enforcement at the Cook County Sheriff's Department, and he is now a security guard. So, Gino, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for the introduction. I was with the Cook County Sheriff's Office for 23 years approximately, and the last 12 to 15, I was a sergeant. So it was a very interesting career. And I retired from there. And now I work as a security officer at my leisure. So that's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And the most interesting part, especially considering today, is I regularly do security at parking lots. And that is something like, wow, some of the things that this, really hits the security. I was doing a Soldier Field in the last 7 days. I did Soldier Field 2 times in the last, and that's strictly parking. So it's part of what I do all the time.
And you're an avid sports fan. I think you know a lot about sports.
Oh yeah. I mean, you got to have something to do in retirement, and enjoying sports is my number one pastime.
Nice. Now let's talk about Scott Scheffler. We know that he was arrested. So he is accused of going around a blockade and not obeying the officer's orders to stop. They are also accusing him, this officer, I'm going to say this one officer in particular, he's accused of dragging the officer as well, because the report is saying that he dragged the officer to the point where his pants that he quoted, $80 pants, are irreplaceable and unable to be worn again. And he's saying that he was scraped up a bit and he was so injured that he had to go to the hospital. So what about all of this with this officer and Scott? Tell me your thoughts on this.
Well, we try to take it, step by step. First of all, this situation demonstrates a officer who is probably not really qualified for what he was doing. First of all, the report says he's a detective. So maybe he was moonlighting. The report said he was detective, whatever his name is, something with a G.
Gillis.
He was a
Detective Gillis.
I didn't want to out him, but that's okay.
We outed him today.
He's obviously not qualified to be any kind of traffic control when you let someone pass you, make you so angry that you reach inside their car. I mean, this golfer's got a great lawyer. I'm sure is going to have great lawyers. I'm sure the senators, the congressmen will get together and make sure this guy doesn't have any repercussions. Because let's be honest, you're in a doggone rat hole, which is Kentucky, and you got an officer arresting a white dude. I mean, that is not, they're not going to let this stand for long. They're going to straighten that out. But it just shows this officer lost control. Mm-hmm. The witness, the reporter who was a witness, said that this officer was beating on the man's car. What officer is so offended that he would beat on somebody's car? Now, I don't know about anybody else, but me, if you are beating on my car, I'm probably not going to stop for you either. I just might run you over because if I'm not prepared to fight, heck yeah, I'm going to keep going. You beating on my cars. But
not only that, where is that in the policies and procedures that you are supposed to beat on somebody's car during a traffic stop?
Well, I didn't want to get into the fact that I work for internal affairs. I'm not going to get into that. But the point is, no, we're not going to get into that today. But the point is, that officer, before I even knew about the report, demonstrated he is either completely uneducated in law enforcement,
Mhm.
completely uneducated, or he's an idiot who is related to some other person in that department who had the authority to give him his job and promote him. Because if he's a detective in the Louisville Police Department, then they have a bunch of idiots in that department. And I'm not worried about them saying that's derogatory, because it's not derogatory. It's the truth. If that's what a detective does in Louisville, or, reach in somebody's car, hold, the car won't stop, but you're going to reach in it and hold on.
A
What is
moving
that?
vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, a moving vehicle, and obviously that just shows that the car wasn't moving that fast if you can
True.
reach in.
That's
So
true.
the officer did something stupid, which he should be, the officer, to my feelings, should be fired. He's completely, he escalated the situation. The
Right.
reporter said that the only one yelling was the officer. The officer beat on the man's car. Why would you stop for somebody who's beating on your car? And another thing which nobody wants to touch, because in the report, because with me, what you write on a piece of paper is what I'm going to hang you with. What he said, he was in full uniform with a reflective raincoat that he was wearing because it was raining, or was
Right.
frequently raining. The problem is that raincoat completely covered up your uniform,
So that
man.
Scott didn't know.
So
Scott didn't
Scott
know
didn't
who
know.
he was.
And what people are not catching, which if you investigate police misconduct, you'd catch very quickly. The officers said that they didn't know that that vehicle had official golf tournament markings on it. So hold it, it's dark. This situation happened, quickly.
Right.
And you're an officer and you're saying, well, we didn't know that was an official golf club, part of
PGA
the
Tour.
Yes, it said the official car. It said that they gave out official cars to the players and a few other
Right.
dignitaries. So the officers are saying, well, we didn't see that was an official car. That's what the officers are saying. So then when Scott Scheffler says, I didn't know they were the police, hey, it all makes sense.
Right.
You didn't
A
know he was.
miscommunication.
Yes, a classic miscommunication. And the officers, with their own words, which people don't realize when you deal with the police, you get all excited. This guy did not get excited. He
Right.
didn't do anything to help the police hang him with.
He did not. He was very calm because they
He
have
was
video.
very calm. And that's one reason why we as a people end up in trouble, because we want to get all loud and think we can talk to the police. Forget talking to them. Get a lawyer. Let them arrest you. Get
Absolutely.
a
And
lawyer.
that's what Scott did.
Exactly. He shut the beep up. They didn't even get his name from him. They went to a reporter who was nearby and said, could you give us the name of the person we just arrested? So for some reason, they didn't even feel qualified to ask him his name. So if you're an officer and officers who are saying in your reports, well, we didn't know that was the official club car, and we didn't see official car on the side of the car. Okay, Scott says, well, I didn't know they were police since they were in a yellow reflective raincoat that obscured the word police.
Right.
And if you look at the footage that's being shown so far, this is early, this is the day it happened, so maybe they'll get more footage, but a lot of them officers did not have things that said, a few of them had markings on the exterior of their body, but a lot of them just had the yellow reflective coat.
Because
So
that's
for
all
him
I've
to,
seen so far is the yellow reflective coat. I haven't
right,
seen any badges.
I saw one or two when they turned to the back. I saw it said police on one of two of the officers, but were they there? Were they around at the time? Who
Exactly.
knows? So all of this, I had on a full uniform. You had on a full uniform under that raincoat. I mean,
Exactly.
how could he tell what you were wearing under your raincoat? He thought
And
you
it was
was,
dark.
and it was dark. I mean, so he's got a great case. I do parking lots frequently in retirement, and people don't see, and sometimes, I'll get a little loud, but, it doesn't help the people. They're not trying to be jerks. they just got tunnel vision there at their event. They're happy to be at their event. They keep going the wrong way sometimes. Scott heard that as a player, you can go in. So he thinks
Right.
the police are there to keep other people back and let him in. But for an officer to reach in his car, did you think this person was going to rob somebody, kill somebody? Did you think his car had drugs in it? Why are you reaching in his car? What,
Right.
as a traffic officer, and that's why I said you got a detective doing traffic. Maybe he was moonlighting. Maybe they were paying him time and a half, or maybe he was doing a special assignment. But this guy is totally incompetent in that special assignment, in my opinion. Totally incompetent, because let's say he rolls past you. Let's say you're really offended. You're the police. You get
Right.
on that Motorola and you call somebody and you say, hey, you see that guy? Go get him and bring him back here.
Right.
That's what an officer do. You don't reach in a car. You don't jump in front of a car. So, I mean, it's Kentucky. He's just an idiot white boy police officer. And I don't even know what color he is. If he's black, he's an idiot black police officer. But the point is, that was a stupid thing to do. And if any other officer would do that, they should be fired also. Because what did you think you were going to accomplish by reaching in the car? I mean,
Now,
all he did was drove past you. Is that going to help the situation for you to grab him? And from what I heard, he, bring him out the car kind of rough.
now, what were the other players saying happened to them when they reached this entrance?
Some of the other players said that they did the same thing Scottie did, just earlier than Scottie did it. And they said the officer saw them. One of them said, I was in a car by myself. I was in an official car also. I rode to get in, and the officer waved me right in, completely ignored me and let me go right in. He didn't even make the person roll down their window. They said, I didn't have to stop. He didn't give me any problems. Now, it might have been a different officer, and that's where the confusion comes in. And that's where the officers,
Exactly.
because sometimes officers do not communicate. Everybody thinks all the officers communicate, and this was a conspiracy. It wasn't no conspiracy. You got one idiot that was uninformed for whatever reason. Maybe the one that let the guys go past took a break. Maybe he took a different position. But since the players were told that you as a player will be able to get in, no one can get
Right.
in but the players. Everyone
Right.
else has to wait. So for him to go around, how else, since traffic is backed up, how else can he get in but to go around? The officer was there for him, actually, but this
To be
officer
able to.
decided he wanted to be the show. And the problem is, some people just are not cut out to be the police. I'm sorry, it's true. And some people, you rise in a job like the police, you rise to your level of incompetence. Whether it is you shoot somebody 5 times when you should have shot him once, whether it's you shoot them 60 times when you should have shot him once, you rise to your level of incompetence. And when the heat is on, because let's face it, in this situation, the heat was on, and the officer brung all the heat. And you heard of de-escalation, and that's a
Right.
big terminology. You're supposed to de-escalate. How can he say he de-escalated anything? What's really shocking is that a supervisor did not intercede. That's
Right.
what's shocking. When
Yeah.
you're going to arrest somebody in this situation, you're at a golf club, you're
Right.
security at a golf club, you call your supervisor and get that supervisor's okay. But this guy, his feelings were hurt because he did something he shouldn't have done, which is reach inside the car and hold on for a ride. What was the purpose of that? Let the car go. You got the Motorola, which is the radio. For those of us don't realize that, that's what the Motorola is for. That old term is, you can't outrun the Motorola. And this guy's in an official car. Oh, we didn't see he was in an official car. Well, he didn't see you were the police. So the charges were assault on the police officer. First of all, he's going to be not guilty on that because he didn't know he's a police officer. So since he didn't know, he's not guilty. And that other crap, it's all going to go away. If he was black, he would get some money. But, since it's white boy to white boy, he probably going to get get off, they're going to just shake hands and call it a day, because Scottie seems to be really cool about it. But
He
if it were
does.
a black person, I would say, oh, he did it because I'm black. He did it because I'm black. I mean, if
Right.
you hear that, then, they might have a case. It was dark, but the
Right.
officers have really made Scottie's case by saying they didn't know he was in an official car because the car is marked. It was dark, so they couldn't see. So he can say, I didn't see either. So how did I get arrested? And
Right.
where's supervision? In law enforcement, you have to have good supervisors. You got to have
Right.
good supervisors. And you call a supervisor, and the supervisor says, who is this? Oh, Scottie, who are you, Scottie? What do you do around here? Oh, I'm a golfer. You're a golfer?
Exactly.
And is that a car oh, that's a car from the, oh, so a supervisor said, we told them they could go past, man. So why'd you stop?
Exactly.
He said, man, why'd you stop him? And then he said, well, I didn't know, and he wouldn't stop for me. And and look at my pants, they're all tore up.
The supervisor could have mitigated all of this.
Yes. The supervisor would have told him, a good supervisor would have said, man, you did a lot of things wrong. Apologize to that man and buy yourself a new pair of pants.
Right.
That's what a good supervisor would have done. I've been in situations where I had to tell people unpleasant things. And the easiest thing to do is to say you're sorry and get over it. And they should have done that without arresting this guy. So I think it was a huge misunderstanding, but really it was the incompetence of the police officer. And I don't want to say every Louisville police officer is an idiot. That's unfair, because that's not true. But the problem is the bad ones make people think all policemen are bad. And that is not true. Not at all.
Right. And I would like to know, how did Scott become the only golfer to be singled out in this way? Was he the only golfer that came into contact with this officer? Because like you're saying, the other players, they got through with no problem. How did his situation of trying to get into the golf course become such a heated exchange that he is the only statistic that got arrested? Like, what was so arousing about this?
That is a good question. I'm thinking the other players were either in front of him, or after that, somebody from the club came out and made sure people got in efficiently.
Okay.
Because there was no more problems the rest of the day.
Exactly.
And it's impossible that nobody else was behind him. There had to be plenty of people behind him.
He was
And let's
not
be
the
honest,
last person on earth.
once you got rid of this idiot detective, which is what he is and what he will go down in infamy being, once they got rid of this idiot detective and put him in an ambulance, then I'm sure if you're an idiot, you have to go to the hospital. I mean, I would bet, I don't know this guy, and I can say this comfortably. If you look in his personnel file, I'll bet you he either has a lot of citizen complaints. I would bet you $100 he has a lot of citizen complaints, or he's frequently off sick. Those two things. He's the kind of officer that's always doing crap he shouldn't be doing, which of course you get hurt, and then you get to stay home for 15, 20, 30 days. Maybe you can stay home a month and you can relax
and get paid for it.
And get paid for it. I don't know this guy, but I bet you if I was internal affairs and I took out his folder, I would bet you $100 it's one of those two things for sure. No doubt about it.
Now let's say you were a golfer and you came in contact with a excited officer like Officer Gillis. What would you say would be the best reaction for you to have if you were a listener?
You mean what he should have done, Scott?
Exactly. Yes.
Well, I think, in his case, he needs to stop the car, roll the window down, and say, I'm a golfer, I'm a golfer, I'm a golfer, I'm a golfer. The funniest thing, or it's not funny at this time because somebody got arrested, but a couple of things. First of all, everyone's saying, oh, well, a man got killed and, it's a big traffic jam because a guy got killed. Okay, that was a totally separate thing. And everybody's lumping that together. Everybody's lumping that together like that's kind of important to this. It's a side issue. It's too bad somebody died, of course. But, let's not confuse it. He had nothing to do with that. That has no part of this.
Right.
But he should have rolled up there. And even the reporter afterwards said when he talked to the police, he didn't even tell the police, he's a golfer, he's a golfer, he's a golfer. He's so busy saying, hold it. And also, you have to step back. Nobody said he is a golfer. Well, first of all, he should have rolled up in the car, rolled the window down when the policeman said the first word to him, rolled the window down and said, I'm a golfer, I'm a golfer, I'm a golfer. He should have yelled that 100
He should have identified
times.
himself.
He should have identified himself. Because the one thing that people miss with the police is, I don't know you. So, don't treat me like we friends. Don't give me the excuses you give your mama to get out of something with your mother. I don't know you. So tell me who you are. You should have rolled this window down and said, I'm a golfer, I'm a golfer, I'm a golfer. That's what he should have done. Now, saying I'm Scottie Scheffler, that's, irrelevant, because I don't, Scottie, who are you? You know what I mean?
Right.
But
I didn't know who he was until today. So yeah, that wouldn't have me.
Exactly. But, and just a coincidence, and we're not going to get too deep into it. I was at a thing and I'm there, and a football player walked up, and I'm security at the door, and I'm saying, hey, whoa. And he says, I'm so-and-so. Now, I happen to know who that name was. I said, oh, I'm sorry. You see what I mean? I was like,
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because I know they don't have me here to stop players from getting in. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That is not my job. And this officer, and it's true, they said they didn't know who he was. And, he
and it's possible. It's
possible. They didn't know it was dark and all that stuff. So, but the problem is, once you took him out of his car and you saw he had on shorts and you saw he had on his clothes gave away, he had to be staff or a golfer. And that car is a big red flag. So what an intelligent person would do is, the strongest thing you can say is who you are. That I'm a golfer, and golfers were told, you can go by the barricades. Don't worry about it. They understand that golfers have to get in. So in this case, the best thing would have been for him to yell, I'm a golfer, repeatedly. Even the reporter from ESPN who was there, Jeff Darlington, he did not even say he told them he was a golfer. When the police officer asked that reporter for the guy's name, he only said the guy's name. He still didn't say he is a golfer. Now,
so nobody knew who this man was. They just given his name, which means nothing. It means a hill of beans to an officer.
To an officer, exactly. And of course, ESPN is, repeating, well, he's the number one golfer in the world. Oh, he's the number. That's irrelevant. Don't say, I'm the number one golfer in the world. That's irrelevant. You say, I'm a golfer, I'm playing today. I'm a golfer, I'm playing today. That's the kind of thing that will help.
That matters. Yeah.
That matters. People want to give you all kinds of information, and no. Tell me the important stuff, and tell it to me quick, because it's a tense situation. And hopefully that would have de-escalated the officer, because it seems like that detective was the problem, not Scottie. And the reporter is a strong witness because he was there.
Yeah. So if this continues on, and whether it gets dismissed, whether it goes to trial,
I'll be shocked if it don't get dismissed. I'll be shocked if it don't get dismissed, because
but it's still gonna go down in history, and that reporter's name is gonna be there.
It makes racist Kentucky look worse, because now you even arresting white guys. And give me a break. You don't arrested so many black guys in Kentucky, you're gonna start arresting white guys. So I'm pretty sure that will be quashed very quickly, because hey, we ain't here to arrest white guys. They're gonna tell them, Mitch McConnell gonna call and say, hey, we're not there to arrest white guys. You're supposed to arrest black guys only. What is going on here?
You got to wake up Mitch for him to say something now. Wait a minute.
Well, Mitch don't want that kind of heat, so I'm pretty sure it'll be worked out. And that officer, he'll be lucky if he don't get fired, because he should be fired, unless he's related to somebody. And usually in a situation like that, he's a detective doing traffic control, bragging in his uniform, bragging in his report that he was in full uniform, but he was in a raincoat that covered up your uniform. Get out of here, man. It's just ridiculous. Truly.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you for being my special guest today. You provided so much insight on this situation. I will definitely be following it in the news so that we can provide an update to the listeners. Are there any last thoughts you want to provide?
Oh, I would just like to. I'd like to come back whenever this officer gets fired. I mean, because because I'm sure that's going to happen. They're going to ease him out some way, somehow. So thank you for having me, and it'll be a pleasure to come back in the future.
Well, I would definitely have a part two when and if he gets fired.
He'll get fired or transferred.
Well, if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe to Criminal Justice Corner. Tell a friend to tell a friend about Criminal Justice Corner, and we'll see you next time on Criminal Justice Corner. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.